Today we're going to go through the all-in-one curriculum, 5th grade homeschool curriculum. It includes math, science, language arts, and social studies. I want to make sure that I mention that this is a flexible format curriculum. You're seeing the printed version today, but our curriculum is actually digital first. You can use it fully online or you can print it out, whatever works best for your family. It's instantly available after purchase, so there's no waiting. I did mention the subjects that we include, so I want to make sure that you know it's a complete curriculum with 180 lessons per subject, which means it's a full credit course. Each level or each grade includes language arts, math, science, and social studies. We also include additional subjects in some grades as well. For example, in high school, we just added financial literacy, and we're going to add health education later this year. We're also planning on adding American Sign Language for our elementary school students. And so those will be added absolutely free. So if you buy, let's say, the 3rd grade curriculum or the 5th grade curriculum, and then we add American Sign Language that's for those grades, you would absolutely get those for free at no extra charge. So it's really great. I also want to make sure that you know that it's great for multiple children. So you can reuse the curriculum for more than one child in your household, whether it's that same year, maybe you have twins, or it could be, for a younger student. So let's say you bought 5th grade and you have a 3rd grade student currently, in addition to your 5th grade student. Once your 3rd grader becomes a 5th grader, they can reuse that curriculum, and we update it every year. So you're always getting the latest edition. Right now, our curriculum is $29.99 a grade. Our high school pack, which is 9th through 12th grade, is $100. And our full K through 12 pack is $299.99. The reason that we don't include these grade packs for high school is that most states require different subjects for each grade. Every state is different. So we can't just say, civics is for 9th grade. Well, civics might be for 11th grade in a different state. So we let you customize that or purchase the whole high school pack. Every other grade is $29.99, and then our preschool is $14.99. If you want to see more samples of our curriculum, you can do so on our website. Just click on any grade level to view the samples. You just scroll down and there's a section called samples, and you'll be able to see each subject, both parent and student. We're going to go through our language arts right now for 5th grade. We always have a letter in the beginning of our curriculum, and it's just asking you to acquire a writing notebook or like a math notebook, just so that students have space to write equations for math or to take notes for writing. It's really helpful, and it's also great for portfolio work. So we have 180 lessons in this course, which is a full credit course. We include assessments and quizzes. We also include all reading material in our language arts curriculum, which I think is really important to mention. A lot of curriculum options out there don't do that or require you to go to the library or buy extra books. We don't do that. So we include it all, which also means our language arts curriculum can be quite long in terms of how many pages there are. So if you're going to print, in our household, we read all the reading material on our Kindles or our iPads, and then we do all the workbook work printed or on the computer. So we have spelling lists, lots of activities, practice sheets, again, the reading material, questions, prompts. So for example, this would be a really great reason for the writing notebook. Begin writing, and in 10 minutes, put your pencil down. So it gives you a prompt to write about, and then they do a spelling assessment in that lesson. So we try to make sure that students are not, if you're doing the work on a computer or a tablet, we try to make sure that it's not screen time all the time. And also just to make sure that students are doing activities and hands-on learning. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but our curriculum is not just workbooks and worksheets. We have so many science experiments and outdoor activities, journaling prompts, creative projects, presentations, just to keep learning engaging and well-rounded. We want kids to be invested in their education and not just be bored. And so it's really important to keep them engaged, and we do that by getting them outside or having fun activities or presentations. And usually it's about something that they're interested in. So sometimes we'll have suggestions for maybe a presentation, but usually it's about something that we want them to be interested in, or write an essay about something that they're interested in. If you are going to print this curriculum, I do recommend the printer that we have in our household, which is an Epson EcoTank printer. Absolutely love it. I print 6 to 8 full grades in color for about, I think it's about $50 or $60. It's about $35 or $40 for the tank of ink, and then the rest is in paper costs. But that's a year. It's really great, and it prints pretty well. My printer is not doing so well today. It's got some lines through it, but I just need to clean the header. And that's a very easy fix. So it's great. I mean, we print in color all the time. Here's the parent teaching guide. It gives you the objective for the lesson, additional notes. These are pretty self-explanatory, at least in the 5th grade language arts. In the student guide, there's a lot of information for the parent and the student. We have key vocabulary words, additional notes for you, there's a writer's profile. As we get further along in this curriculum, the parent teaching guide gets a little bit longer. So it gives you the literary selection. That's included in the student guide or the student coursework. Key vocabulary with definitions, so you do not have to go find those. We give all of that to you. We give answer keys where needed. In the 7th grade language arts curriculum, there's not a lot of things that you need to grade, at least in the first 20 lessons or so, because they're just starting to learn how to write longer essays and things like that. So there's not a lot of answer keys needed. They learn about protagonists and antagonists, assessments. Then we're going to go into science. Again, we really like having notebooks for each subject for kids. I have them decorate them at the beginning of the school year, which is kind of fun. We've got review lessons and quizzes and activities. Again, 180 lessons. Full credit course. And here is something that we include as well, especially in science or any time you would need materials. 5th grade requires a little bit more than most of our curriculum, but we give you a lot of options and for what we're doing, and you don't have to do everything, I will say. We do skip, unfortunately, some of the science experiments that we don't have. I think we skipped one earlier this year. I have to look where it is. Something I needed rock samples that I did not have. So, we'll skip it, and we ended up looking at a YouTube video instead, and it was great. So, but most of these things that you can find at home, which is really helpful. There's worksheets, classifying animals, more worksheets, going over parts of a plant. Again, more worksheets, parts of a flower. Review quizzes, and then the parent teaching guide. Key points to emphasize, how to help your student. Those are really helpful, at least for me as a parent. I don't always remember what I've learned in 5th grade science. It's been a while, so I usually just read the parent teaching guide about 5 minutes before the kids start, and it's very, very helpful if they have questions. It kind of gives me an overview of what they're learning and a quick reminder about animal cells, for example, or plant cells that I probably have forgotten about. Just needed a quick refresher. We also give activity instructions for parents. I think that's really important. Otherwise, I'd be having to go in and look at the student guide, and it's just helpful to have it all in one place. So we provide some information to you as the parent when we are doing an experiment, for example. We also give you additional educational content. This is, again, just as a refresher, as we get into the older grades, it's probably been a long time since you studied this, or, you might need a quick refresher. So it's really important to us to give you enough information so that you don't have to go out and do some more research before your student does this lesson. We want to provide all of that for you as the parent. So we do that, especially in the upper grades. Younger grades, a little bit less so, but as we get into more complex subjects. Here's our social studies curriculum. We have students do historical timelines, all sorts of things, lots of activities. So we do a lot of think and respond questions in social studies and less of the big, huge, exams and assessments, because students are learning. History is so complex. And so having them, think and respond to questions that they've just, that are based on something that they've just learned, I think is a really helpful way to have them retain the information, because there's just so much history and it's so complex. And at least it helps my students retain the information a little bit more. So we talk about timelines, we have them do a timeline project. Activity, create your own 5 themes of geography book. I really love all the activities. It's a fun way to incorporate what the students are learning. "28 states whose names have indigenous origins." See if your state is on the list. Just a really fun way to incorporate what students are learning. Voyages of Columbus, Spanish explorers. Again, timelines, really important, especially in 5th grade, as they're starting to get closer to middle school. Colonies. And then we've got our parent teaching guide. Again, key points to emphasize, how to help your student. Really helpful to lots of parents that might need a quick refresher. And then, like I said, we do include educational content for parents. Like I said, history is a very complex subject. There's obviously a lot of history. So, when was the last time we talked about the 1400s? So it gives a little bit more information about what your students are learning, and gives you a little bit of background to help them if they have any questions, or to expand on the lesson that they're learning. The answer keys. Again, the additional content. European explorers. The questions and the answers. And then we'll go into math. Again, math notebook. We write this letter to families saying, we'd really like to have a math notebook. It helps for scratch paper, all sorts of things when students are learning math. We've got reviews and quizzes and assessments in math. Again, it's 180 lessons, which is a full credit course. We also do culminating projects, which I think is really helpful, especially if you're doing portfolios. Some parents don't do portfolios, but some states and school districts do require portfolios. But it's just really helpful to have, examples of what your student has been doing and working on throughout the year. And so activities like that are really helpful to put into portfolios. You can also just print off their coursework, which is what I've done for many years. Assessment, practice sheets. adding and subtracting with decimals. All practice sheets. Learning how to solve equations. Algebraic properties. Students are learning a lot in 5th grade. Multiplication of 1-digit numbers. 2-digit numbers. If you want to see any additional samples, you can go to our website, go to www.allinonecurriculum.com, click on any grade level, and you'll be able to see both the student workbooks and the parent teaching guides. So again, we give additional notes to the teacher when we think they're necessary. We also give information for the parent to have within the lesson, the answer keys. I mean, we know how much heart and soul goes into homeschooling and how overwhelming it can feel to find the right curriculum. That's why we try to keep our curriculum affordable and easy to access and use. We really want to give families a complete, flexible, standards-based program that supports you every step of the way and won't break the bank. I do want to mention we do meet all state and national standards. We look at all of the state standards every single year. If they've changed, we make changes to our curriculum. So we meet all state standards for the 4 subjects that we provide, which is math, science, language arts, and social studies. All states in the U.S., we meet all those requirements. We also meet all the national standards. We do not teach Common Core. That's something that I think many families appreciate about our curriculum. And, we just think you shouldn't have to be an expert to homeschool your kids. Parents are the best teachers of their own kids. They know exactly what their kids need. We don't want you to have to feel like you need to be an expert. You just need the right tools, and we hope that this curriculum helps you have the right tools to homeschool your children. We're here for you. We love to be part of your homeschooling journey. Please reach out to us if you have any questions at all. Our team is very small but mighty. We're a family-run business, but we are happy to help you in any way, answer any questions that you might have. And we'd love to be part of your homeschool journey. Happy homeschooling.